friends, in the previous session we had discussed about the classification of an organism, how I am going to classify the organism, and what are the criteria when naming the organism or while doing the nomenclature of an organism. So also I said that within a group also we have different groups depending upon some of the more similar characteristics they are sharing. So I have a big group in which I have small different groups with some similar characteristics. So, and also I had discussed about the steps in the classifications, right? That identification, characterization, nomenclature, and then classification. Now let us see how are we going to classify the organisms, or how are we going to group the organism within a big group itself. So this grouping or this classification is basically done by a study known as taxonomy. So in this session, we will be studying about the taxonomy. What do I mean by taxonomy? Taxonomy is nothing but it is the study wherein I am going to classify the organism depending upon the similarities and dissimilarities. It is sharing among the organisms and within the organisms. Okay. So this taxonomy is nothing but it is the study of the classification of organisms depending upon similar and dissimilar characteristics or characters. Okay. So the word taxonomy was first given by the scientist, or it was first coined by the scientist A.P. Candolle. Okay, so he was the scientist who first coined the term taxonomy. And the scientist Carolus Linnaeus is known as father of taxonomy, and the father of Indian taxonomy is H. Santa Po. Okay, so we have these three scientists in the taxonomy, as the term taxonomy was first coined by A.P. Candolle. The father of taxonomy is my scientist Carolus Linnaeus, and the father of Indian taxonomy is H. Santa Po. So basically taxonomy is what? It is just classifying the organism based upon the similar or dissimilar characteristics it is sharing with the group. And there is one more term called as systematics. Systematics is nothing but it is classifying the organism on the basis of the phylogeny, or on the basis of the evolutionary relationships they share. So this is classification on the basis of evolutionary relationships. Okay. So systematics and taxonomy. Taxonomy is classifying the organism on the basis of similarity and dissimilar characteristics. Systematics is the classification of the organism on the basis of evolutionary relationships, or how the organism have evolved from a parent or from one common ancestor to the present organism. So this evolution is, or this similarities on this evolutionary changes or the evolutionary relationships, classifying organism on that basis is nothing but systematics. So now let us see how the taxonomy is done, or for an organism, how I'm going to classify the organism on the basis of similarities and dissimilarities. So that is called as taxonomy. So there is something called as taxonomical hierarchy. So I have taxonomical hierarchy. Okay, hierarchy is what? Hierarchy is nothing but it's a steps. Okay, so I'm going to classify the organism on the steps basis. So let us see this taxonomical hierarchy is what are these steps which it contains. We have steps like, I'll start with the first step as kingdom, phylum or division, class, order, family, genus and species. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps on which I'm going to classify the organism. So basically this starts with the species. So the arrow goes like this. So 7 steps I have is the species, I have genus, family, order, class, phylum or division and kingdom. So okay, now what is the characteristic of this hierarchy? The organisms grouped under this species, they have the more number of common characteristics sharing. Okay, so the species or the organisms having, or this group is having the group of organisms which is sharing more number of common characteristics, and the common characteristics which have been shared is such that they can reproduce among themselves to give the same kind of species, right? As we go on moving up to the hierarchy, the similar characteristics goes on decreasing and the dissimilar characteristics goes on increasing. Okay, so in genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, my similar characteristics now goes on decreasing. So my organism reaching to this kingdom will have very less similar characteristics, rather I'll have dissimilar characteristics more. Okay, so the species or the first step, which is my species, is having the organism which is sharing more similar characteristics and less dissimilar characteristics, and at the topmost kingdom I have more of dissimilar characteristics and less of similar characteristics. So I can say that as we move up the hierarchy, my similar characteristics goes on decreasing, right? Okay, now here we have phylum. I have written as a phylum and division. Phylum is basically used for the animals and division is basically used for my plants. So this is for animals and division is for plants. So I'll give you a simple trick to remember this 7 steps. Let us write it as king, Philippine, came over from Germany to Spain. So you can remember this sentence and you can have the initials of each word. So I have kingdom from K, king. I have phylum from P. I have class from C. I have order from O. I have family from F. G with genus and S with species. So this is a very simple trick to remember this. This will be my kingdom. I'm really very sorry, this is kingdom. This is my phylum. This is my class. This is my order. This is my family. This is my genus. And this is my species. So now it will become very easy for us to remember this hierarchy by just King Philippine came over from Germany to Spain. Okay, and also I said as we move up the hierarchy, the similarities between the organisms goes on decreasing and the dissimilarities goes on increasing. So I'll be having more similar characteristics in this group, this with less similar, again less, and to this kingdom or to the group of the kingdom, I'll be having very much, or the percentage of similar characteristics will be very low. Now let us take an example, or let us study the details of each and every steps. Now when I say steps, I'm just saying steps to these grouping. This is called as, and each step is called as rank or category. Okay, when I'm saying this species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, I'm saying it as a rank, okay, or as a category. Now keeping this as a backbone, when I classify an organism, when I will be taking an example further, when I classify an organism, at that time the classification of that organism keeping this as a backbone will be called, or the steps in that grouping or that hierarchy will be called as taxon, being singular, and taxa is my plural. Okay, so this is called as rank, and the organism we are classifying with the taxonomical hierarchy will be called as taxon. So I'll be having each taxon in that classification of the organism. Here I have ranks in this steps. Okay, so let us take an example with this hierarchical step. So now let us take an example for that taxonomical hierarchy.